Well, obviously, it's really important to introduce Harvard referencing for Level 4 students because they might have used it in college or in school, but the vast majority of students haven't. So they come into us with little or no knowledge of why it's important to Harvard referencing. It's important to cite the sources of your work to obviously improve the credibility of what the students are saying in their assignment. And it's something that is obviously expected in the university. So if we don't teach them it at Level 4, they're not going to know how to do it at Level 5 and then Level 6. So it's important that we introduce it to them so that they know why it's important at Level 4 and they continue to do that throughout Levels 5 and Level 6. What we've been doing is we've been running kind of Harvard referencing sessions in the tutorials alongside some research skills sessions with the help of Sian from the library to help develop the students' research skills and more specifically Harvard referencing skills.
The library team aim to kind of see as many students as we can across the university to deliver info skills training, so helping them with researching, finding academic information for their assignments. And this year, Claire asked us to run sessions so that we would potentially see every first-year marketing student, which we haven't been able to do before. So we booked in, I think it was 9 sessions, where we demonstrated some academic databases for students to use to find journal articles, talked about the importance of recognising journal references, book references, how to search for information, what search terms to use, and then they were given a task to go away and do to put into practice what they'd learned. So I think it's really good that it was put into context for them as it was at the time of their assignment. They were a lot more responsive to it because of that, I think.
So just to tell you a little bit more about the actual tasks that we got them to do in tutorials, like Sian was saying, Sian came and did the info skills session with them, and the students were given their assignment brief the week before, so this all happened in week 2 in October. So they were given their assignment brief, so they know they had to choose either a product, a service or an organisation to base their assignment on. So with the help of Sian, she got them specifically thinking about, well, what's my assignment about, therefore, what do I have to go out and research in the library? So they then found these 5 sources that Sian directed them to. So the week later they came in to present this in the tutorial, so they had these 5 sources and we asked them to write down the references for each of these sources in the Harvard style, and then the tutors would go around in the session, check the references, check that they were correct, as well as looking at the suitability of the sources that they'd actually found to put in their assignment.
The library is always happy to help with running sessions for students. We have created, well, for the past few years now, the library's created the MMU Harvard Referencing Guide, which students can refer to. And we've now also introduced something called LibGuides, which is web pages. The first one we've done is for referencing, so there's a lot more help out there for referencing now. And we are working in collaboration kind of with the student support officers and seeing what additional support we can give.
One of the other things that we did in the unit was we had an assignment forum, which a lot of units have in the department, I'm sure across the business school as well, so that students can ask questions about the assignment on the forum. But in addition to that, we also had a forum within that was just specifically about Harvard referencing, and Sian actually had access to that forum. So Sian very kindly took on responsibility for actually answering questions specifically about Harvard referencing on that forum. We haven't noticed a dramatic increase in the grades that students actually got in their first Principles of Marketing assignment, but all of the marketing team definitely noticed an improvement in the Harvard referencing ability of students in this first assignment. So the vast majority of students actually attempted to Harvard reference, which wasn't always the case in previous years. And so some of them still kind of needed some improvement on that, but all students were referencing books correctly, referencing journal articles correctly, including page numbers when they had a direct quote. So some of the things that they didn't necessarily attempt in previous years, they were attempting this year. So another thing that the marking team also do is that we actually correct the Harvard referencing on the first 2 pages, or at least the first 2 pages of every single assignment, so that students can see that if they have made very minor mistakes, that they know how they can actually improve on that in the future. So some members of staff do that throughout, but at least if we do that in the first 2 pages of the assignment, that students can see, well, I've made a mistake there, I know what I need to do for next time. And that's been very beneficial from a student's perspective in terms of the feedback that they're getting on their assignments.
My experience of working with the students, as I said, I think it's very important for the library skills that we teach students to be put into context. So often we will go in and talk about researching, finding information, and if they don't have an assignment due, they find it hard, I think, to relate it to what they're doing. So I did feel that the response I got from them was very good. They could relate it to what their topic and what they were doing and put into practice what they'd learnt straight away. And the feedback as well, we do evaluation forms, and the feedback was very positive from them as well. This has been really valuable, this collaboration. It's been a brilliant opportunity in the second week to have the chance to actually go into a classroom, to show the students what we can offer them, to embed those skills very early on. It's given us the chance to kind of break down any barriers that students might have in terms of the library. They might have been previously a bit nervous about coming into the library, about approaching librarians, but hopefully now that they know me, they feel a lot more comfortable doing that. Obviously from the library's perspective as well, we would love to be able to embed our sessions into the curriculum, which isn't always possible, but I think this is a really valuable step towards that.
So this initiative is obviously very important in terms of AACSB and assurance of learning, because what we're trying to do is introduce these skills to students at level 4 so that they can then be developed at level 5 and then assessed at level 6. So we don't want to get into the situation where at level 6 we're assessing them and they're not meeting these traits. So we need to make sure that we introduce them at level 4, perhaps via some of these sessions that Sian and I have been doing, so that we can then start to develop it at level 5 and assess at level 6.